So, hi, everybody. I'm Yusuf. I am so excited today to have on our this episode of the podcast Natosha McNeal. Natosha is a senior product marketing leader, and she'll tell you all about what that means. But I am so excited about having Natosha. Simply, I came across her LinkedIn profile, and she has been able to pivot, adjust, and go through so many industries, just traverse through them with such ease and grace that it's really, for me, I was very impressed. And I'm a career strategist, so from that perspective, I was really impressed with Natosha's background and career. So welcome, Natosha, to this episode. And first off, tell us a little bit about you, your background, and what a senior product marketing leader does.
Absolutely. That was quite the intro. I feel the pressure now.
No
But
pressure, no pressure.
I am Natosha McNeal. Like Yusuf said, I'm based right outside of Atlanta, Georgia, and I would describe myself as an avid reader and rollerblader. Those are always my fun facts that I give people, and I'm a lover of all things colorful, in case you can't tell by my outfit. And so I currently work as a senior healthcare solutions manager or product marketing leader. It's just called solutions marketing at my current company. And the company I work for specializes in agentic orchestration. But more on what I do specifically, as a senior product marketing leader, I help companies, much like the one I work for that specializes in agentic orchestration, in helping them tell a compelling story or craft a compelling narrative about their product so that they're able to sell it, position it, especially in a market that's very, very crowded. And so I lead their global strategy for healthcare. And that lends really great into my experience because I've worked in healthcare marketing for the last about 11 years. And I've worked across payer, provider, post-acute. I've worked in public health and then in health tech. And working in those different industries has allowed me to kind of come into contact with so many different audiences where they're technical, non-technical. I may be crafting narratives for a developer-based audience or for a business or finance audience. And so that has really allowed me to kind of strengthen my skills on how to tell a story clearly and concisely, which is very, very important in a market where things move very fast. And so I'm very excited to be here and to share my experience.
There is so much we can dig into, and based on your background, I want to focus on agentic orchestration. Is that what you said?
Yes,
Okay, so
yes.
what is that?
So, agentic orchestration, a lot of people describe it as they think that it is just workflows, but it's so much more than that. Agentic orchestration is really how, take for instance, a financial institution. Banks, they give out loans, they process payments, they also do business. They may do business globally, they do commercial business, private business, and so agentic orchestration can help a bank process applications faster. So it can take the automations that they already have in place and it can help them do it faster. So in like when a human does it, or when it's a very manual process, maybe it takes 5 days for them to to review and process an application. But with agentic orchestration, we're able to string together all of their systems and automate it in a way where it cuts the time down, sometimes greater than 50%. So where a process used to take 5 days, now it might take 2 days, or it might be able to be done in 1 day. And so that's the beauty of it, especially in so many industries. People are looking to save time. They're looking to save money, especially when they have to, they may have to reduce their workforce, or if their staff is overly burdened by all of these individual administrative tasks. Agentic orchestration can help get things done faster. It can save time. It can free up their leadership's time to do other more strategic roles and less of like the manual work. And so that's just kind of one example. Working in healthcare specifically, I think a lot about how patients, they get frustrated when they go to an appointment and all of their information is not there in front of their provider. And it's because the systems aren't talking to each other. Everyone knows the big EHR systems. I won't name them here, but everyone knows them. And oftentimes they're not always connected in an efficient way, like across health systems. And so doing agentic orchestration can help go move faster for like prior authorizations, for claims management, that's dollars and cents to a health system. And that also creates a better patient experience. And so with my healthcare background, all of my work has really been focused on how do we make our community better? How do we provide a better user or patient experience? And so that's why I was very excited to step into the role I'm in now in agentic orchestration, because it's a tool that is helping people save time and helping them make a greater difference in their industries.
I want to get to how this came about, your understanding of agentic orchestration and just leveraging AI in general, how you came to this point where you understand it so well. However, I do want to just drill down on, you go to a healthcare organization or finance company and you talk to them about agentic orchestration, more efficiency using agents to what used to take hours or days, it takes less. What are people's reactions to that? And like, aren't they like, I used to do this work. It used to take me 2 days, and you're going to come in here and you're going to use these agents and they're going to do it a lot faster. But what about me? What is the reaction of the human loop in all this?
Yeah, so oftentimes people are like, whoa, wait a minute. Especially in healthcare. In healthcare, it's such a heavily regulated industry, much like banking and much like insurance, where there's very little room for error. And so these are, health systems, hospitals, providers, banks. They cannot afford to make mistakes where, customer data, patient data is put at risk. And so that's usually their very first question. How is this compliant? Like, how is this legal? How is this not going to get us, fined? That's a very valid point. When you're working with patient data, it's very important to make sure that all your bases are covered. And so really that's part of the storytelling, that's part of the narrative, is going into, this is the value that it's going to provide your organization. This is the time savings that's going to allow your providers to get back to focusing on patient care instead of focusing on filling out this document, or, we're automating certain steps. We're not removing the human element altogether, because that's just not possible. And I think that's the fear that a lot of people have about AI, is that, well, if we implement AI at my company, then won't that replace my job?
Mm-hmm.
And,
Yeah.
And that's, and I've had many conversations with people who've reached out to me on LinkedIn or even at conferences, and they're a little bit, more resistant, or their company is not fully on board yet, or their company is flat out against it. And they are like, I don't want to be replaced, or, or they're already thinking so far in the future. They're like, I'm going to be replaced by AI. And yeah. I always say, you're not going to be replaced by AI, but you're going to be replaced by the person that knows how to use AI well. And that's the part that they have to realize, is that you have to know something. I just remember in these last few interview cycles that I've done, the questions moved from, do you use AI, to how do you use AI? What have you produced with AI? How are you implementing it into your daily workflow? And so they want concrete examples of how you're actually doing it. And I think that that's such a good point that often catches people off guard, because they can't, that question is just like, they stutter, yeah. They don't know. Yeah. And so that's one thing that, the people I encounter who ask for my advice, that's one of the things I'm like, you have to come prepared with like concrete examples, 3 to 5. This is how I
Yeah.
use AI every day. And I said, it doesn't even have to be like super groundbreaking, but showing that you have a good command of it is what's really important.
Yeah. Ideally, and this is when I talk to people about AI, this comes up a lot. I would want to know, if I were hiring someone, what problems have you solved using AI?
Exactly.
So that never goes away. What problem did you solve? And I think that's a
Mhm.
key kind of guideline to go by. So, Natasha, how did you get here learning about AI? I mean, it's not easy for a lot of people. It's jarring, right? So,
Yes.
do I have to be technologically savvy? And what do I mean, there's a barrier to getting to know AI. Some people are,
Yeah.
hey, I use ChatGPT for
Mhm.
what vacuum I want to buy. I use it for, some people use it for scheduling out their day, what have, for personal use. But then there are a lot of people who don't even get there, and a lot of
Mhm.
people who are further along. You're obviously a lot further along. So what was that journey like, and how did you get through all the barriers to get to where you are now?
Yeah, so working in tech, there's a high focus on being a leader, being an innovator, being a disruptor. Those are, terms that you hear again and again. And I've been kind of on both sides of it. I've been in organizations where they have given you free reign and say, go get whatever tool you want and use it however you want, very little guardrails. And then I've also worked in organizations where it's very restricted. They're saying, please limit your use to, these types of tasks and don't
Yeah,
let it do your job for you.
yeah,
But working in healthcare that's heavily regulated, one of the things is, knowing what's okay to put into an AI tool and what's not okay. And of course, you have HIPAA compliance and all of that. And thankfully, I didn't work with a lot of patient data because I'm leading like strategy and marketing. And so really kind of got into it a lot during my time working for a public health agency. And one of my part of my scope of work was to create a overarching communication strategy for their grant program. And in doing
mm,
this, there's a lot of documents that I had to read. And I was the lead on this project. So everyone's kind of looking at me for, where do we go next? And so I would really, this was non-sensitive information, no survey data. And I would just dump it all in. And I would say, summarize this, pull out the common themes so that I could create a strategy that I could roll out really quickly. And then from there, I moved into a tech startup and I was a team of one. And so I'm a
mm,
team of one running the entire marketing strategy or running the entire content strategy for this startup. And, they're looking for you to kind of generate this amazing content and you have to work quickly. And,
yeah.
you're creating also for multiple audiences. So I had to really learn, which LLM was the best for which types of tasks. How could I, generate the best type of content? And really the kind of the crux of it all is how good are you training your model? And
Mm,
if you train your model well, then you will get good outputs. But it is not meant to be like a magic wand. And I think a lot of people are looking for AI to kind of do their job for them, which is not totally far off. But when someone asks you to explain it or to kind of explain your methodology of how you got there, and all you have to say is, "Oh, I dumped it into ChatGPT," they're going to be like, "Well, then how do you know that it's right?" And so my motivation was really job security, but also it was making sure that I could speak intelligently and that I could keep up in an industry that moves really fast. In healthcare, there's constantly new, from a federal perspective, there's new rules coming out because I worked a lot in Medicaid and Medicare. And then there's also, changing like recently, it's the kind of the move to digital quality measures. So everything is
mhm.
moving to kind of a new way that they're going to be measuring each year, that health plans will be measuring each year. And that's a whole process that you have to kind of get smart on quickly. And I knew that if I could teach myself and I could learn and I could get smart fast, that I could constantly show my value. And I've just kind of used that as a rinse and repeat strategy. And it's served me really well. I was able to take some courses through like Product Marketing Alliance. They have a lot of AI focused content that's been very, very impactful for my career. And that's how I feel like I have become known as like an AI forward marketer. And not that, and I consider myself, I'm a full stack marketer because I've done every facet of marketing because I've been a team of one. And so I think that's important. I always lead with that and saying that, I'll say before AI, I used to do it this way. And after, this is how I do it now. And this is how I'm able to scale it faster. And so I think, most people, if they've been paying attention and not living under a rock, they know that AI is not a fad and it's not going anywhere. And there's a lot of money behind it. There's a lot to be gained from being savvy in using AI. There's always something to be learned. And I really kind of attribute that to being, a lifelong learner. I'm an avid reader, like I said in the beginning, and that includes, reading for personal enjoyment. But I also, I'm always reading, what's coming out, what the new tools are, and especially the tools that I use regularly, like Claude and Gemini. They always have new features coming out, so it's always important to kind of stay up to date.
And thanks for just recounting your journey there. There's so much to learn from someone like you, who's just like you said, you're an avid learner and like lifelong learner. Somebody described this AI to me, how to use AI for your work, in a way that really resonated. He said it's like an eager intern. So
Mm,
all of the work, some of the grunt work you used to do, let's say for content creation,
yes.
this eager intern will do, and they'll give you that first draft that's not 100% there,
Hmm.
might be 50, 60% there,
Hmm.
still helpful. And it'll do it
Yes.
fast. And so that's the good news. The challenging part of it is people know you're using AI, so they expect the quality to be much higher and they
Hmm.
expect the content to really have all of the facets that it should have.
Hmm.
So the product that you create, you have to really up your game in terms of the
Yeah.
final product because people know, okay, you have this eager intern. So given that, it should be awesome and you should hit the mark the first time. So
Right.
there's the good and then there's the challenge of
Yes.
quality. And if the quality gets better, then and you can do it, not only does the quality get better, you need to do it, you're expected to do it faster because you
Yes.
have the eager intern, right? So
Yeah.
you have to up your game. Otherwise, it just won't people. You won't meet people's expectations of the in terms of the
Yeah.
quality or the speed at which you deliver.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think that also goes back to how you train your model. I think not enough people, I once had someone ask, I used Claude to write a white paper, like
Okay.
an entire white paper. And someone was like, wow, like this is really good. And I said, because I've been training the model for months. And I said, when
Mm,
I say training for months, I said, I'm having conversations with Claude. It's not always I put in a prompt, they give me an answer. It's having a conversation. It's a lot of iteration. And I think that's something that, I recently saw an article headline that said prompt engineering is out.
mm,
And I think there's a lot of truth to that because it has to go further than just putting in a simple prompt. It really does have to be more of an iterative process where you're able to kind of go back and forth and poke holes. Because, and I was just telling someone this. I said, no matter how well I've trained my model, I said, there's still hallucinations. And I said, so at the
yeah.
end of every, output, I'm asking, verify this. And then, of
Mm,
course, they come back, Claude's coming back and they're like, oh, you're right, good catch. And I'm like, yeah, but had I not asked the question and I just pressed download, then, I would have had a document that was not, 100% correct. And,
yeah.
I may have been the only person that caught it, but still, it's like that's a part of kind of when you get into the responsible and ethical use of AI as well.
Yeah. So the AI model is trying to anticipate what, um, what content you'd want. And
Yes,
you're trying to anticipate and getting to know the AI model, how it
mhm,
works.
yeah,
That's probably how you got to, I'm assuming that's how you got to the point where you said, verify it, verify
yeah,
what you're telling me.
yeah,
And so,
yeah,
but had you not um, tinkered with it, used it for real work, you may not have known to ask that question, verify that
right.
you would have taken it at face value. I've had experience with AI serving up very generic content to the
Yes.
point that I said, I can't take this to a client. I can't take this to anywhere external because it's just so broad. It needs to be specific, let's
Yes.
say, to the industry, to the context, to
Yes.
all of that. So there's still that human loop. You need to engage with it and
Hmm.
work with it. It's not like it's going to do everything for it, like it's going to do the critical thinking for you or anything. It's just not. It's definitely
Yeah.
not going to be as creative as you are.
Right.
So that's
Exactly.
also something that you should depend on you to do.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
much to learn. If so much. So much to do when it comes to AI.
Hmm.
Natasha, if someone's out there right now and using AI at a very kind of basic level, I don't know anyone.
Hmm.
Um, I know some people who haven't even touched AI. Actually, I know somebody
Hmm.
who's a very senior, accomplished person in the legal and compliance area of a major company, and that person has not touched AI yet, personal life
Hmm.
or business. Very accomplished. So, um, someone like that who's in wait and see mode. Let's just see where this AI thing goes. What advice would you have for them?
You're going to get left behind, unfortunately, and that's like a very blunt way to say it. But I feel like the pace at which the industry is moving, and I mean, you can plug and play any industry. The pace at which it's moving is going much faster than the average person can keep up. I feel like as marketers, as leaders, we often have a lot of demands on us, a lot of demands to give insights at the drop of a hat, a lot of demands to produce something at the drop of a hat. I feel like more often than not, it's always let's move faster, let's generate faster, let's deliver faster. And while that is a good thing so that you can stay relevant and stay timely, sometimes that can get you in trouble if you're not careful. And so I would say, if you haven't touched it, be prepared to sprint because you're going to have
Mm,
to catch up. That would be, kind of my one sentence, one short answer to someone who hasn't used it before. I know, I've heard of organizations where people, where their leadership is totally opposed to it. Like they cannot use AI to do any part of their job, which I can see why. Because if there are no guardrails, then it can become the wild, wild west. And you can, you put slop in, you get slop out. And so that always, goes back to, time, kind of like the implementation of AI at your company. I've been fortunate enough, the last couple organizations I've worked at, they've been very AI forward and very, the message was, use AI to do parts of your job that take up the most time. That way you can focus on the parts that are strategic or the parts that are creative. And I like that approach because there are mundane parts. If I need need to create a brief for a product launch, I can dump in the relevant information, dump in my template, and say go. And that way I don't have to spend an hour or two on completing that brief, and I can do something else. And so that's been really helpful. The company I work for right now is global. And so I'm over, not only America, but also EMEA, APAC, and DOC. And
Mm,
so all of those regions have very specific nuances when it comes to healthcare, because we all know that healthcare in America is very different from healthcare in Europe.
that's for
And
sure.
so it's like, managing those nuances that has to translate in the messaging. And if I had to do that all kind of in a singular type of fashion, then that would take a long time and I wouldn't be able to deliver as fast as they would like. And so that's, a prime example of how I'm able to say, these are the regions I'm over. These are the pain points. This is my starting point. Go. I need to generate, a table. I need to generate a battle card to show, this is where our positioning matches up with our competitors across the regions. And that's something that our sales leadership, they find very impactful, especially as we're kind of expanding our business into these different regions.
Yeah. Natasha, this has been so helpful for me listening to you. Not only that, very inspirational because you're doing so many things with AI. I can't even imagine how the quality of your work is just amazing because you're doing it just right. You're using it for just the right things. You're the human loop, and you're not letting it just take over and do your job. You're using
Yeah.
it exactly the way it should be used. So, thank you so much for sharing that with our audience, and for I'm hoping, actually, I'm pretty sure, inspiring a lot of people to get in there and making sure they're not left behind, but also making sure the way you've explained it as it's not this cryptic tech thing that's inaccessible. It's something that you can use and you can get to know it just like it's getting to know you, and
Exactly.
you can do it quickly. Also, the more you use it, the better you get at using it. So I learned a ton, Tasha. Thank you for being on this episode of AI powered Career Edge, and looking forward to the wonderful things that you're going to do in healthcare and other industries going forward
Yeah.
using your AI.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's about, think of AI as a machine. And so it's not that the machine is going to replace you, but you need to learn how to use the machine optimally. And so that's how I always think of it. And I think that that is something that has served me really well over just like the last 5 years since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. When, you have to really be more of an orchestrator and not just, a doer. And I think that that's really important. And I hope that, others, this kind of lights a spark under others to want to learn more and to seek out those resources. There's so much out there. Use AI to learn AI. So that's what I always tell
Mm,
people,
yeah,
use it to learn it. So
yeah.
it's like, it's a great way to start.
And then other people can be orchestrators just like you.
Yes.
Thank you, Natasha.
Thank you.
All right.